Welcome to Bourbon and a Baby. My name is Jay, this is Max, and today I'm going to give you some tips for working from home. I've worked from home for about 8 or 9 years now, so with a lot of people now being forced to work from home in the current situation we're in, I figured I might be able to help out a little bit, give you some tips and pointers for if you're temporarily working from home, or if it's just in the future and your work is moving to a work from home type of system. So here are my best practices for working from home. My number one tip, and I think this is one of the most important tips that I'm going to give you today, that is to try to make some type of a dedicated workspace. Now, if you're going to be permanently working from home, you definitely want to make that a priority. If you're temporarily working from home, it might be a little bit more difficult. But if you have a spare room that you can turn into an office, that's what I've done. That works really well for me. That makes that room, my office, my workspace. So when I'm in there, I'm working, and when I'm not in there, I'm not working. It really makes it a lot easier to separate that work-home balance. Now, if you're just temporarily working from home, that, like I said, that might be a lot more difficult to do. Even if you're turning your, say, kitchen or dining room table into your workspace, or you can put a desk in the corner somewhere. Try your best to make that your dedicated workspace, and try your best not to work from the couch. I've always found, not saying that I've never spent a day or a couple of hours working from the couch, but I'm way less productive when I'm doing that, and you just kind of feel lazy at the end of the day because you've just been on the couch all day. That's always kind of the dream scenario when you think of working from home, is kicking up your feet up, laying or sitting on the couch. But trust me, that gets old really fast, and like I said, it's a lot harder to get things accomplished, and usually, at least for me, I'm a lot less productive if I'm actually working from the couch. So avoid the couch. My second tip is another pretty important tip, and it might seem easy or sound like common knowledge, but trust me, sometimes this can slip by you if you work from home. Brush your teeth. Make sure you brush your teeth. Wake up, brush your teeth right away, because I've been in that situation where I'll get up and I'll make my coffee right away, and then I'll take my cup of coffee and I'll start working, and then it's like towards noon and I'm about to eat lunch, so I don't want to brush my teeth right before lunch, and so then I eat lunch and then I go back to work. And then you're getting towards the end of the day and you realize you haven't brushed your teeth all day and you feel gross and disgusting. So try to make that part of your daily morning routine. Brush your teeth. Tip number 3, have some type of a routine. Now, I know some people that work from home like getting up early before their workday starts, taking a shower, getting dressed like they normally would, and then doing their work. I personally don't have that type of a routine, but I do get up a little bit earlier than I would normally start working. I kind of have my routine of coffee and breakfast, then I start working. I don't usually get dressed like I'm working. I'll still work in my sweats or shorts or whatever I just lounge around in the house in. To me, that's one of the benefits of working from home, is that I don't have to dress up every day, so that's never been important to me. But I do still, generally I'll push that shower back. I got into a really good routine actually before Max was born, to where I would shower kind of at my lunch break, and that kind of helped split up the day for me personally. So that was something that worked for me. But yeah, I do know a lot of people that like to get that morning shower in before they start working, and that helps them be more productive. So whatever routine works best for you, just get into some type of a daily routine. Tip number 4, don't forget or don't skip out on taking your breaks. If you were in the office, you would normally have either a half hour or an hour lunch break. Continue to take that lunch break. you might have short little 10-15 minute breaks here and there throughout the day. Still take those. One of the negative things about working from home is that you could tend to almost focus too much on your work sometimes. So work those breaks in. You're gonna need that mental space for yourself. Take a quick walk, get outside, because that's another thing that can be difficult, especially in the wintertime from working from home, is that you just don't get outside very much. So get yourself outside, take a little short 10-minute walk, kind of get your mind fresh. And also, one of the benefits of working from home is that you could take those little breaks and you can maybe start a little laundry, or whatever else you might have to do around the house. If you have a small yard, you can maybe take a 20-minute break and mow your yard or something like that. Obviously, if you have a big yard that takes hours, that's going to be more difficult, but I think you get my drift. Take your breaks. Tip number 5, and this is an important one if you do a lot of conference calls while you're working from home. So if you're on a conference call or some type of a Skype meeting, whatever, make sure if you're not talking, either mute your phone or mute your microphone, because if you're home, you have potentially dogs barking in the background, maybe you have kids running around and screaming in the background, maybe your wife comes up and asks you a question and doesn't realize that you're on a conference call. All those things will happen during conference calls, so do your best to make sure that your phone's muted or your microphone is muted during those conference calls. Unmute it when you need to say something, and then mute it right back when you're done. And that's going to help keep a lot of those other distractions from distracting everybody else that's on the call with you, and they will appreciate you for that as well. Tips number 6 and 7 are kind of blending together. So for tip number 6, do your work. Even though you're working from home, it doesn't mean you're on vacation. It doesn't mean you can just lounge around and not do anything all day. Do the normal amount of work that you would do in a day. But then tip number 7, don't do too much work. Because if you're an overachiever or somebody that just likes to be really efficient and get a lot of things done, that's all great and fine, but it can be hard to separate that work-home balance sometimes. And so if you're working too much, first of all, you're setting expectations for your job that might not be attainable on a regular daily basis just because you're working longer. So I know some people that work from home that just never put their computer down or are constantly going back to it after work hours or things like that. So don't do that. Do the amount of work that you would normally do in a day. Obviously that's going to vary. Some days you'll do more, some days you'll do less. That's fine. But don't go overboard one way or the other. Do the normal amount of work you would normally do in a given day. My next tip actually kind of goes right off of my last tip, is when your work day's over, be done. It can be so tempting and so easy to walk past your computer, check an email real quick or whatever, and then maybe you check an email and there's something you got to take care of. Next thing you know, you've just spent an hour at 8 o'clock at night doing work. Avoid doing that. Sure, it can be nice sometimes to take care of something outside of normal business hours, and that's fine if it happens here and there. But you don't want that to be a habit. You don't want to respond to somebody at 9 p.m. and then that's an expectation that whatever time of day or night somebody emails you, that you're just constantly ready to get on it. Because the next time that happens, maybe you're out somewhere doing something and you can't respond right away, and then that person's expecting you to. So always keep that in mind. For me, when my workday is done, my workday is done. I close my office door and I don't worry about it again until the next morning. And that really, again, helps keep that work-home balance. All right, my next tip's not necessarily a tip, it's just more of a statement, I guess. One of the best things about working from home is the extra flexibility. Now that's gonna vary depending on what job you're doing. But for me personally, there's certain times during my workday that I need to make sure I'm there, I'm present, and I'm doing my job. There are other times during my workday that if I have something else to take care of, say Max has an appointment he needs to go to, I can run out for a half an hour or an hour, take him to his appointment, and I could just work an extra hour over, or work early an extra hour that day to make up for it. And that's one of the best parts about working from home. So just enjoy that flexibility. Don't take advantage of it, but use it to your advantage. That's, again, one of the key perks of working from home. Okay, so now I know that this next part isn't necessarily tips from me, because I haven't really had to deal with this yet. I know there's a lot of people right now that might be working from home because of the situation, but also having to deal with their kids being home because of the situation. And so now you have to kind of work around trying to do your work, making sure your kids are either doing their schoolwork or keeping them from bothering you throughout the day. So like I said, that's not something I've quite had to deal with too much yet. That's something I haven't really had to deal with a lot yet, because during the day when I'm doing my work, my mom, Max's grandma, will come over and watch him during those times. But my best advice is to try to create some type of a structured system with your kids during that day. So if they're supposed to be in school right now but they're not because they're home, try to keep some type of a structured schedule. Start the day at 8 or 9 a.m. That first hour, have them looking up something to do with math or something to do with social studies or whatever. And that's going to range and be different, or for whatever ages. Obviously, if they're older, that's something they can do more on their own. If they're younger, you're going to have to try to work through that with them. But if your partner's home, that's something that you can also try to tackle together. So maybe a couple hours you're trying to work, but also trying to watch over and keep the kids busy, and then the next couple of hours you switch. So that way at least each of you has some time to kind of work through your actual work without being distracted. Okay, those are my work from home tips. Hopefully you found some of that useful. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. That would help Max and I out quite a bit. You can follow Max and myself on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're at Bourbon and a Baby on all those platforms. And you can buy some merchandise at our shop on Spreadshirt. I'll throw the link in the description below. But yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good day.